The silver spoon paused halfway to Marcus Wellington's lips when the small, dirt-smudged hand shot across the table. For 47 years, no one had dared interrupt his meals, yet here stood a beggar girl, her hollow eyes burning with desperate urgency, her trembling finger pointing at the perfectly plated risotto before him. "Don't eat that," she gasped, her voice cracking like dry leaves. Marcus Wellington didn't believe in signs, destiny, or divine intervention. He believed in quarterly reports, market projections, and the cold mathematics of wealth accumulation. The founder and CEO of Wellington Pharmaceuticals had built his empire on logic, not superstition, which is why he should have ignored the ragged child standing beside his table at Marcello's, San Francisco's most exclusive restaurant where a single reservation required 3 months' notice and a credit card that didn't flinch at four-figure dinners. He should have called security. He should have demanded the maitre d' explain how a homeless child had breached their velvet rope fortress. He should have taken that bite of $28 per ounce Italian risotto and returned to the contract spread across his tablet, the one that would shutter the community clinic in Oakland to make room for luxury condominiums that would triple his investment portfolio. But he didn't. Because in that frozen moment, Marcus saw something that made his hand lower the spoon. The girl wasn't looking at him with the practiced desperation of a panhandler or the calculated manipulation of a con artist. Her gaze was fixed on the plate with the pure, primal terror of someone who had seen death itself. "What did you say?" His voice came out sharper than intended, honed by decades of boardroom intimidation. "The food. Don't eat it, please." She was maybe 10 years old, swimming in a jacket 3 sizes too large, her hair a tangled mess that might have been blonde under layers of grime. "I saw him. The man in the kitchen. He put something in it." The restaurant erupted. The maitre d' descended like an avenging angel, his face purple with rage. 2 servers flanked the girl, ready to escort her out. Diners at neighboring tables whispered behind raised hands, their entertainment value for the evening suddenly skyrocketing. "How dare you," the maitre d' began, but Marcus raised a single finger, and the room fell silent. Wealth commanded that kind of power. "Let her speak." Marcus pushed his chair back, studying the child with the same intensity he applied to hostile takeovers. "What man? What did he put in my food?" The girl's breath came in short gasps. "The cook. The new one. He has dark hair, a scar here," she traced a line down her right cheek, and a tattoo of a snake on his wrist. "I was outside the kitchen door. The one by the alley where they throw out the food." He took a small bottle from his pocket and squeezed drops into your plate. Then he looked around real scared like and hid the bottle in his apron. "This is absolutely ridiculous," the maitre d' sputtered. "Security will check the kitchen," Marcus interrupted, his mind already calculating probabilities. "Now, find the cook she described. Search him. I want cameras pulled and health inspectors called." He fixed the maitre d' with the stare that had made venture capitalists weep. "And if you remove this child from my sight before this is resolved, I will personally ensure Marcello's closes by morning." The next 30 minutes unfolded like a fever dream. The police arrived. The cook, a temporary hire named Vincent Caruso, was indeed found with a vial in his apron pocket. The contents, according to the field test, contained a lethal dose of digoxin, a heart medication that in high concentrations causes cardiac arrest. Security footage showed him tampering with the dish. In his wallet, they found a photograph of an elderly woman and a newspaper clipping about Wellington Pharmaceuticals discontinuing a cancer drug that had kept his mother alive, until it hadn't been profitable enough to manufacture anymore. Marcus sat in the now empty restaurant, the poisoned risotto bagged as evidence, his tablet forgotten. The girl perched on the chair across from him, swinging legs that didn't reach the floor, clutching the hot chocolate he'd ordered for her with both hands like it was treasure. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Sophie." She took a careful sip, her eyes closing in bliss at the warmth. "Sophie Henderson. Sophie Henderson, you saved my life tonight." She shrugged, a gesture too old for her young shoulders. "Couldn't just let it happen. My mom always said we help people when we can, even when we got nothing. Especially then," she said, "because kindness is the one thing that don't cost money." Something cracked in Marcus's chest, a fissure in the armor he'd spent decades constructing. "Where is your mother now?" Sophie's face fell. "She died 6 months ago. Got sick. We had insurance but they said her treatment was experimental and wouldn't cover it." Her voice took on a mocking tone at the word experimental. After she passed, I couldn't pay rent. Been on the streets since June. The fissure widened. What was the treatment? Some drug. Started with an I. Eva something. Ivatraxin. Marcus's voice came out strangled. Yeah, that's it. The drug Wellington Pharmaceuticals had discontinued. The same drug Vincent Caruso's mother had needed. The drug that had shown promising results for rare cancers but hadn't generated sufficient profit margins to justify continued production. Marcus had signed the discontinuation order himself, 18 months ago, barely glancing at the paperwork between approving executive bonuses and his yacht upgrade. He had killed this child's mother. Not directly, not criminally, but killed her nonetheless. And tonight, she had saved his life. The irony wasn't poetic, it was devastating. Sophie, he said slowly, each word feeling like broken glass in his throat, what if I told you that you could have a home? A real one. And go to school. And never worry about food or safety again. Suspicion flickered across her face. Why would you do that? Because you're right. Kindness is the one thing that doesn't cost money. Though in my case, he laughed, a bitter sound, it might actually cost quite a lot of money. And I think I've been bankrupt of it for far too long. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Marcus Wellington didn't become a saint, didn't liquidate his fortune to feed the masses. But he became something more dangerous to the status quo. He became someone who remembered. He adopted Sophie legally, enduring the scrutiny and skepticism that came with a billionaire single father. He reopened the Oakland clinic, then opened 12 more in underserved communities. He restarted production of Ivatraxin at cost, then did the same for 4 other discontinued medications. His profit margins shrank. His board revolted. He replaced them. On Sophie's 11th birthday, 18 months after the night at Marcello's, they stood together at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Henderson Center, a state-of-the-art cancer treatment facility named for Sophie's mother. Marcus held Sophie's hand as cameras flashed and reporters shouted questions. Mr. Wellington, critics say you've lost your edge, that your soft policies are weakening your company. Marcus looked down at Sophie, who squeezed his hand and smiled up at him, no longer the hollow-eyed wraith from the alley but a thriving child with hope. In her eyes, I didn't lose my edge, he said quietly. I found my humanity. And it turns out that's worth more than any quarterly report. That night, as he tucked Sophie into bed in their home, the mansion he'd once rattled around in alone, she looked at him seriously. Do you ever think about that night? About what almost happened? Every single day. Are you scared that someone else might try? Marcus kissed her forehead. I'm more scared of becoming the person who deserved it. That's why I wake up every morning and try to be better. Because a brave little girl reminded me that our choices ripple outward, touching lives we'll never see. And I want my ripples to heal, not harm. Sophie smiled and closed her eyes. Mom would have liked you. Eventually. After she finished yelling about the drug thing. Marcus laughed, tears threatening. I would have deserved every word. As he turned off the light, Marcus Wellington understood something he'd missed in all his years of accumulation and achievement. Wealth couldn't buy redemption, but it could fund revolution. And sometimes salvation arrived not in grand gestures but in small, dirt-smudged hands pointing at poisoned plates, in voices that had every reason to stay silent but chose to speak. Sometimes the beggar saves the prince. And if he's wise enough, brave enough, he lets her change his kingdom forever.